review of a company that I'm really interested in. So it's called Vaica, and who they are is essentially they're a Tel Aviv-based digital health startup that's focused on medication adherence, and they've done some interesting work in terms of what they've created. So I'm going to show you some of their solutions they have out there. So their website is vaica.com. I'll have the link below. But in terms of, if you look at what solutions they really put out there, there's it's kind of like this cloud-based idea where you have a device that basically uses the Internet of Things to basically have medications in there, and when it goes off, then it sends it to a cloud-based portal that then can communicate with a third party or with a provider to utilize to basically get information about how people are taking their medications. So the different products they have out there is, the very first one is called SimpleMed Plus, and I'll be reviewing this one here because they actually sent me a demo. And what that one is basically is, it looks like a smart pill tray. And then the cool thing about that is you can actually put blister packs in there. They also have these things called capsuled, and the next one is called SimpleMed Suit. These are also to help out with adherence, but they're also meant for more specialty kind of medications. In this case, you can see that they're really focused on like injectables in this case. And then there's another one just for like also along the same line. These are also used for like clinical trials to help out with adherence and tracking and inform the patients on what to do. Then what's cool is they also have this BioDose Connect, and I haven't seen these very often. So it's a smart pill tray, but it's meant for liquid medications, which when we're talking about children with using liquid medications, it can be very beneficial. So that's another one here. So that's kind of interesting that he puts something out like that. And then what happens is they all get connected to this portal, and this is kind of like the information that you would see in terms of like that you can collect. And then for the patient side, they would then be able to use something called Medi, which is a mobile app component that can help them know when to take their medications and such. So that's what's going on with them. Now, these guys have been on my radar probably for about the past 2 years, I would say. And if you look them up, it's kind of hard to find some initial information about them. So if you go to clinicaltrials.gov, on PubMed.gov and type in Vaica, you're not going to pull them up. If you go on clinicaltrials.gov, you'll get this one, which is a Take It study. And the Take It study was done basically for teens that were post kidney transplant to make sure they're taking their medication. So if you have followed the transplant scene, you recognize that people who get a kidney transplant or any kind of organ transplant goes on a lot of medications, and a lot of that medications, their pharmacokinetic profile is very, very narrow, because what you end up going is you don't want to make your body reject that organ, so you have to basically hit this key area where your therapeutic window is very narrow, so you don't want to go too much of a drug because it's going to cause other immune problems, and you don't want to go too low or else the body will reject the organ. So you have to have this fine median. This often requires a lot of like blood testing and blood work, and that's kind of actually what they did. So I actually wrote about this in Pharmacy Times back, I think, in 2018 when they initially came out with this stuff. And what's really interesting to me is that, they showed in a small population, a lot of kids' studies are small to be quite honest, that it actually found some good benefits. What I would harp on is the fact that what they did, though, is they actually used the data that was being collected and had this coach that would basically use the information collected in a study to basically reinforce on the children and the caregivers whether or not they were doing a good job and trying to intervene appropriately there. I don't see that a lot with a lot of these study designs and medication adherence and using these tools and devices. And if you read through my article, what you would then see is I'm a big proponent of actually doing this kind of method. I think this is the best way I've seen. I think that's why they had promising results compared to other studies, where basically they threw an intervention at someone and said, do it and watch what happened, and usually it wasn't to the best. And one big study I would give is like the Beat HF study published in JAMA back in a few years back in heart failure. They just threw all this technology, we didn't see a lot of benefit. And here we actually see some, and I think it's because of this coach. What's interesting, though, is they're repeating the study and they're kind of removing the coach and trying to focus more on the technology side. So I'm curious how that's going to pan out in the end. And then if you look on JMIR, they actually put out a protocol along the same line, and this is going to be another randomized controlled trial, and they're going to have Vaica thrown in here as well for this Mask M Health system. So go figure two. And you can see how they're kind of using this all together in this kind of system. So I'll also have this link to get below in this protocol to see how this turns out. So, yeah, there's some literature out here. It looks kind of promising. They've been very focused on the, as you can see, kidney transplants, and that's really a huge population here overall. So, you know, this is a product review. It's not a full study review. I can always do it later if people are interested. But so this is where Vaica currently stands in terms of doing all this stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to jump from here now to move into talking about the product. So I'll get that thing set up and then we'll start there. Okay, everyone. So we're back and we're going to be looking at the Vaica pill tray. And this is SimpleMed Plus. So it's basically a smart pill tray. It's pretty big. So you can see how much the size is. We measure here. You can see each of these things is basically an inch. So take it for what it is. Why do I like this thing? I actually think its form factor is not that bad in terms of how big it is, because, you know, compared to, let's say, I showed this in a previous video, a pill pack reminder, blister packing. They're about, you know, if you're looking side by side, these things are always going to be big. So I'm going to show how this thing works a little bit later, but as you can see here, how does this thing really go? So you basically turn it on, and in terms of recharging, if I can recall, USB-C, USB connection, and to charge, and then there's different modes that you can set up, and there's also help if you want to request any aid. And all you basically do to set this thing up is in the back, you can see the trays are back here. So what you would do is you would basically pull this thing out, and then you would fill appropriately. So if this was like Sunday, Monday, so 7 days, and then 4 times, so morning, noon, evening, bedtime, you could stick in. And then what you would then do is take that and you would slide it back in, and there you're set up to go. So you could have like a caregiver do this. You could do like a, you know, if a nurse could do it or set it up, or even a pharmacy possibly. And that's where actually this next part comes in. So what you can do is you can actually remove this, and what you could then do instead is you can actually use this. So how this thing works is basically you would take this and you would slide it in. And so if a pharmacy kind of made this thing, for instance, you can always cut that off. So a pharmacy could basically send this to a patient, and then this could be slid into there. And then what you could do is then you could go in. So you go like noon, here's my dose, and then get the medications and remove them. This thing I think is used to kind of pop them out as well. So if you need help to get it out for a person, that's one way you can remove it. And then you get your medication, and then you're happy to go. And I put this back with my other dummy medications so this stuff doesn't start laying around everywhere. How does it work? Basically, as I mentioned in the previous part, there's that whole system that basically helps alert providers and everyone else. So what this thing has is on the back end is a portal that can help manage when patients are supposed to be taking their medications. You can set that up. So you can put down times and things, and these things will start lighting up. So if you look in here, you can see this thing would basically light up and turn green and say it's time to take the dose and such. So each thing would light up and let you know. It would also make noises and such. You can also go and you can take an early dose if you need to. So overall, the system works pretty well. Now, I don't have a live demo to show you this thing in action because I don't have it really set up right now to show it. But I've tried it in the past, and running it, and it works pretty accurately, I would say. Now, some other catches to kind of look at is travel friendliness. I think most people could take this, like even if they go like on vacation and such, and move around. Some other issues though might be like, what if you're out and about? I guess what you could do then is this little thing you can also like basically pop open, and you can put your medications in there and take this around your pocket, your purse. But this is kind of where the whole debate between strip packaging and blister packaging comes into play in terms of like how easy of use of taking medications out and about. But overall, if it's a pharmacy system and you have patients that like the blister pack mechanic, this is probably pretty easy intervention to basically take something that you're already using to package medications and basically have a platform that can then track the adherence. And the nice part is then that everyone can monitor this one in the back end and be like, oh, so they open that, oh, why do they open evenings? And why aren't they opening evenings routinely? And why are they always missing a dose? And how kids should I intervene on it? And I think that's what's very powerful information is then you can collect that data and see. And then you also have this kind of a central area to help patients know to take their medications and when to do it. So this is Vaica. This is a SimpleMed Plus tray. I see a lot of potential in terms of using this for their clinical studies that are currently going on. I'm kind of anxious to see, though, with the Take It studies, what they are going to try doing with their new versions. And I'm very interested to see some of their new ones in terms of like the reception overall. So that basically sums up everything on my end. And this is the Digital Apothecary, and have a good day.